3 more birds wearing crowns. The Austrian coat of arms on the right, Poland in the middle, and the House of Oliprandi on the left. Of course, the eagle and phoenix have appeared in many flags and coats of arms throughout history. Looking at these depictions, it's clear that they're a monstrous race, and they don't look benevolent either. So it's not surprising that they're allied with the Dracs. The relief on the right is a god from Assyrian mythology, which is likely a representation of this avian race. The Skeksis in the movie The Dark Crystal are almost certainly based on this race, which is probably a more realistic depiction. They do have a monstrous appearance, and there are some reptilian characteristics as well. I've never seen any reversions that indicate an avian species, so they're probably not polymorphs, but I don't know that for certain. However, they would definitely know how to identify Drac imitations. So if the Dracs decided to turn on them, they'd have to go with the direct attack, rather than the usual imitation and infiltration. Since we don't see them, I don't know if this race is still present here. If they are gone, you know who did away with them. Flying craft have been seen in the skies throughout history. There's the Prodigiorum Liber from the time of the Roman Empire, which contains witness accounts of flying craft, discs, and orbs. All of these pictures have a similar looking craft in them, a disc made up of segments, and they're all from different places and times. The bottom right picture is reproduced from Prodigiorum Liber. The top right are coins from France, and that's a monastery painting on the left, from the 1500s. They've always been here, no matter what level human technology is at. After all, that's how they came to this planet. They had to cross the galaxy to get here. As I said, I've seen these craft myself, in videos and in person. Obviously, they're not flying on Bernoulli's principle like planes and helicopters, and they're not using propulsion like a rocket. They're producing some kind of electromagnetic field that generates force. So they're not flying on the air. They're flying on the electromagnetic grid. But until we capture and examine one of these craft, we won't know exactly how they operate. All of the weather on this planet is generated artificially. All of it. It's not weather modification. It's weather creation. That's what the aerosol program and chemtrails are about. They're spraying to make clouds and change atmospheric conditions. It's not about culling the population. If it were, we'd all be dead by now, because it's been going on every day of our entire lives. This aerosol material accumulates moisture in the atmosphere and forms into clouds. It also reacts to electromagnetic fields, so with the correct field applied, it can be moved around and reshaped. They can also make it release its moisture to create precipitation. That's why some people can feel rain coming, because they sense the electromagnetic field being applied before it actually rains. Sometimes the fields produce strange effects, wave-like patterns, rows, or holes, though the one at the top right may be caused by an elemental force. One thing's for certain, all of that white stuff was sprayed out of craft, or fired into the atmosphere from the ground. Nature didn't make that. It was all produced artificially. That's true of all the clouds you see. So this planet does not have a natural hydrological cycle, not currently anyway, and I suspect that it never did. It's all maintained by the aerosol program. That's how they terraformed this planet in the first place. Here are a couple of pentagrams drawn by aerosol craft. You know what that means now. Satan and his children make the weather. This is a video of two orbs spraying aerosol trails. Before the introduction of planes, they sprayed trails using their own craft, and they still do, as you can see in this video. And not all of the aerosol planes that you see are actually planes. Some of them are orbs generating plane holograms. For some reason, these two are running without holographic or refractive cloaks, and they're flying quite low as well. I saw a video about 6 or 7 years ago from a guy in Australia, which was a very clear shot of an orb spraying a trail, zoomed in and well tracked. I went to download the video a few days later, but I found out that he had deleted it. After that, he started putting out videos saying that orb and UFO sightings are nonsense, that it's just planes up there spraying trails. I know now that he's a drac who got in trouble for uploading that video, so his superiors made him take it down and switch sides. This video is the second best example I found after that one. Here's a follow-up interview with John Graff, which is in line with my observations.
John Graff is a huge anti-chemtrail activist, and he captured on March 2nd, 2017, a couple of chemtrail-producing crafts. At closer inspection, it turns out that what was generating the white billowing smoke was a couple of flying saucer-looking orbs. I ended up stabilizing, slowing down, and blowing up these objects and discovered that these vehicles were mimicking our planes in releasing these chemtrails. So I was able to get John Graff on the phone to tell us a little bit more about what we were seeing. Hey, John, thanks for sending me the video. Thanks for talking with me today. So I just wanted to ask you a few questions on this incredible capture. It's just an amazing capture. It looks like a couple of orbs making chemtrails. So could you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, I've been following the chemtrail operations for about 10 years, and I watch them all the time, and they're just so mysterious, and they become more mysterious because in the beginning, when I saw the spraying, it was planes. It looked like planes. It looked like people doing weather modification or cloud seeding. You know, it looked like that. But now there's a whole new element to it that's over us. There's planes that are up there shooting at high speeds, and they are just different. This is not jets. And if you look at the video that I shot, when you catch the 22-second mark, look at the speed they're going. It was like trying to catch a horse race in the front row. I was following it as fast as I possibly could. And I did not know at the time I was shooting that they were not planes, at all. I just thought, they were. Looking at the video myself, I saw that they were these dark-looking orbs going at very high speeds and leaving a massive trail across the sky. I mean, 2 in a row. I mean, anybody could think that is airport traffic is so wrong.
Really amazing. I've seen these planes, shooting across the sky, and most of the time they're like horizontally, number one. But number two, they never go in tandem like this.
There's people in other states that have caught like 5 in a row doing the same thing. But they did look like planes. I mean, they are shaped like planes. I got a feeling what we're seeing are shaped like planes a lot of the time. But every time I go out and shoot these chemtrails, I always think in the back of my mind, show me what you really look like. Just show me. I don't say it, but I think it. And that particular time, they actually showed me what they look like. And that's why I think that's what they all are. There's planes below. There's passenger jets that are spraying. I know that they're hooked up, and I think it's to throw us off to what's kind of really going on up there. And the ones that are out of sight, they're so high up there that you can't make out what it really is a lot of the time. And I think those are not good at all.
It's clear that some of these trails couldn't have been made by planes. Those were sprayed by orbs. Even the most maneuverable fighter jet wouldn't be able to make turns like this. Whoever is doing this is trying to show you that there are non-conventional craft in operation. This video shows an orb dispersing an aerosol trail in one spot. It emits an electromagnetic field which causes the structure of the aerosol to break down. For some reason, they decided to create a break in the trail there, maybe to mark that as the edge of a cloud. If it did this inside a cloud that was carrying some moisture, that would cause it to rain. Again, this demonstrates that the aerosol contains materials that react to EMFs. That's also what causes lightning. Excess electrical charge built up in the aerosol layer from the application of EMFs. This is the source of all the clouds and weather on this planet, aerosol spraying and EMFs. Without that, there's nothing. As I said, I've seen these orbs in person, 2 times in broad daylight from only a few feet away, and 2 times at night, one from about 30 feet away, and the other was following a plane, probably a sprayer. They were both glowing yellow, which is why I could see them at night. The one following the plane got far behind at one point. It was kind of meandering, and then all of a sudden it went into something like warp speed from Star Trek and caught right back up to the plane. It covered that distance in a fraction of a second and left a streak of light across the sky. So these things can move extremely fast when they want to, though it seems that they need a little time to charge up before they can do that. They can also hover perfectly still and reverse direction almost instantly. They can be controlled remotely, and it's possible that some are controlled by AI, basically running on programs. This is an example of an orb generating a plane hologram, and that's obvious because it's stopped motionless in midair. There's an orb inside of that plane hologram, which for some reason is just hovering there. It's either a malfunction in the orb or an error in the program, or someone is doing it intentionally. here's another one that's even closer to the ground. You can see that the hologram lacks the details of a real plane, as it looks like there aren't any windows. Of course, if it were flying at its normal elevation, you wouldn't see that. And obviously, you wouldn't see this in an airport. These orbs are coming out of underground or underwater bases. This is a shot of an orb deactivating its holographic cloak, where the quote-unquote plane suddenly disappears. You don't see the orb afterwards, so it either has a refractive cloak, basically invisibility, or it just took off at a very high speed, or perhaps teleported. This is an orb generating an intense electromagnetic field, which is exciting the air molecules around it, causing them to give off light. The yellow glow is consistent with what I've seen personally. Interestingly, this field has quite a bit of variance to it, and at certain points, you'll see it expand and change color to a magenta tone. It also becomes more stable when it does that. It begins to generate its plane hologram here. And now you can see a glowing orb inside the shadowy form of a plane, which even has blinking lights. So this is conclusive proof that these orbs are disguised as planes. Ordinarily, they wouldn't be glowing like this, so you wouldn't see the orb inside the plane. But they are in there.